What would you do if your father said to you at 12 years old, financially, I'm not supporting you anymore, except for the basics. You're on your own. You want anything, you've got to get it on your own. Well, this 12-year-old, after a very depressing time to listen to that, turned it around. And by 17 years old, he was a multi-millionaire. You have to hear this most amazing story from this two-time Ironman finisher. Pillar performance, I haven't talked about it much lately, but you got to remember, I know it's out there all over the place now, but back in December of 2022, I started telling you about this product, triple magnesium powder, to be used before workouts and after for recovery. And oh my goodness, to take it 20 minutes before you go to bed, you sleep like a baby. And now Pillar Performance has a new product out, Immune C, with a high dose of vitamin C and zinc to help your immune system so you stay healthy for your long training days. And everyone, make sure you go to thefeed.com for Pillar Performance. Put in my code, MIKE23, for a 15% discount. Join me every month for the inspiration to find your finish line. Well, I am very excited to have on my podcast today. He's an entrepreneur's entrepreneur. He successfully created over 30 companies, running 13 of them all at one time. He's got a 40-plus year career in business. He's a business veteran, media mogul, author of Origin of Opportunity, which we'll get into, an amazing book, an actor, and best of all, everyone, he's a two-time Ironman finisher, Andrew Cartwright. Welcome to Find Your Finish Line.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here, excited to talk to you. I love talking to you. Every time I saw you at the Ironman in California, and I remember 2 years ago, and you signed a book, and you signed it for somebody who was a military guy, and you said, yes, you are an Ironman. And then I walked up, and then you said, yeah, I think you wrote, you will be an Ironman. And I remember, oh man, and then, I'm sure because he's a service member and, it's out of respect. But I was like, man, I wanted that, I wanted
Well,
that.
Andrew, I've got a little secret to tell you. I just put one in the mail to you today, and I think you're going to like what's inside the front cover. Okay. So,
Awesome.
Good things come to those who wait. Huh?
Right. I
Well,
got to tell you,
first of all, I got to have your hair. I got to have hair like yours. That's my gosh. Look at you.
my wife said, you got to grow your hair out because I love it. I love it long because I've always had it short. Last time you saw me, the hair was like a quarter of an inch and short, military type cut. And she said, I want you to grow it out like Brad Pitt. And I said, okay, if that's going to make my wife happy. And then since then, I've had tons of guys going, man, I wish I could grow hair like yours. It's like, I didn't know it was like a thing, I didn't know growing out,
we all got vanity. What the heck?
Yeah, for sure.
Andrew, my first question to all my guests on this podcast, because I sometimes like to catch people and just see what's going on today. What kind of workout did you get in today, Andrew?
Before this, I just ran 6 miles.
Oh, good for you. Good for you.
I try and break it up, a run and a bike or a bike and a swim every day. So 6 miles it's not a lot. I've wanted to do 13, but 6 is going to have to do for today.
Well, you know what? That's 6 more miles than the ones that didn't do it, So that's what you always have to think about. You have had an amazing business career, but the comparison of training and doing an Ironman compared to starting and running a successful company, how do they compare?
I would say that every Ironman I've ever signed up for, I didn't think I could finish.
Mm.
I literally didn't think I could finish. And I would say for a business, every day is day one. And the more I think about day one, like I got to figure out from a fresh new start, a fresh new perspective, a fresh new look, how I'm going to do this. And the same thing with training in the Ironman, which I love. Every day is day one. If I miss a day of running, if I miss a day of biking, if I miss a day of like swimming or a couple days, it's like starting over again. So it's like you progressively have to not exercise. And I tell people that it's like, for me, the Ironman is not exercise. It's not even training. It's conditioning. Like when you called my name the first time, it was, 16 hours of hell. And I was one of the night guys where people were crying that I actually finished. And I cut off an hour and a half. And this year I plan to cut off another hour and a half. So I'm going to beat it down and work and work and work to condition my body and my mind to be able to get there. Yeah.
Wow. Andrew, you've got 500,000 YouTube followers, like 700,000 Instagram followers. And, they always say success is due to hard work, pushing through the tough times, being resilient. We've got all the cliches that people always talk about of why they're successful. But what do you attribute your business success to?
If we're talking about like YouTube and Instagram, which is pretty hot for people to do, because I've been successful in 17, now I guess 18 industries, because
Mm.
YouTube makes, like a lot of money. I hate to even say it, it's embarrassing, but it's not uncommon to hit $1 million a year. It's unbelievable, and I have 56 streams of income from different businesses and different businesses that I own, control. I also am one of the biggest lenders in the United States. I do about 400 to 600 applications a day for hard money, fix and flip, business loans, all that kind of stuff. But I would say for like media, YouTube,
Mhm.
I hired a editor, I hired somebody to help me, and they all quit. And finally, one day, I said, you know what? I'm just going to write my own script. I'm going to learn how to edit. I learned how to edit that day. I learned Rush, which was like a quick program. And then I did a video and I said, you know what? I'm going to just work harder than anyone else is willing to work. I scripted 3 videos a day. I filmed 3 videos a day, 15 minutes a piece, 45 minutes of content, all original for years. I was sick. I popped out my back. I even did videos during the Ironmans that were preloaded for the Ironman. I never missed a day. And I've done over 3,000 videos. I'm a 50-year-old guy. I don't have the kid vibe. Mine's from just grit and hard work and putting in the time. So and now I luckily I get to do 3 videos a week, but 3 a day is and people thought I was crazy because they could barely get one out. I'm like, one? I'm doing 21 a week. Like, how
That's
bad do
crazy.
you want it?
Yeah.
How much pain are you willing to go through? Because I'm willing to go through unbelievable pain in order to get what it is. And I don't want nothing from nobody. I'll do the work myself. So,
I
which
love that
Ironman
philosophy.
is all by yourself. I
Yeah.
it's pretty damn lonely. There's a lot of people, but you're alone out there. It's you
Yeah,
know.
when people say to me, Andrew, "Oh,
Mhm.
Mike, I can't do it. I don't have enough time. I've got a family and I've got a job and I've got this and I've got that." Then I talk to people like you, or I talk to people like Miranda Cartwright, who had 2 babies and was an Ironman champion, and
Oh
and
my god, you're giving
it,
me goosebumps.
isn't
Her
it
story.
isn't it amazing that the busiest people including yourself, are the ones that are getting the most work done? Why is that?
It's weird. The most successful people I've ever met have been in Ironmans.
Really?
And they yes, like literally. So I just I think it's a commitment. Like when you're committed, I mean 2.4 miles of swimming, 112 in bike, run, no assistance, 140 miles by yourself This last race was raining. We went through the park in the dark. There was 6 inches of water we had to run through. It was raining on the bike with 10 miles an hour wind. The year before was 30-mile-an-hour winds. And what was crazy is like the more difficult it got, there were cow manure in Sacramento. So manure was coming up in my face, was coming over the back, 10 mile an hour, and I got all these A personalities going by me. And I'm thinking, this is what it's about. This is what makes me an Ironman. Let's go. Make it harder. Make it difficult, let me rise. Let me rise. Let me rise. And it just like I kept talking to myself all throughout because it's such like emotional, physical, mental. I love who it brings out in me. I love what it does. And thing I love the absolute most is at the finish line with your voice. That was your voice is what drew me to wanting to finish an Ironman. I wanted to hear you say it. It
Well,
drove me to not quit. You
thank you very
saying
much for that. Thank you. I, people always say, Mike, how could you say that over and over and over again? And I realized a long time ago, I'm just having a one-on-one conversation with a good person who worked their asses off to get to where they are at that moment. Oh, it wasn't mundane or complacent or repetitive to me. And so I appreciate that. Hey, Andrew, have you ever heard the adage of jack of all trades, master of none? I'm thinking that just it came about because I'm thinking about, my God, 17 different industries, all this stuff you do. How are you able to excel in those industries when you have to learn so much about different industries, different places, different people, different businesses? How do you do
well,
that?
let's talk about Jack for a minute.
Yeah, okay.
So Jack is probably just good enough. I've
Mm.
never settled for good enough. And if I go into a field, I read everything on it I can. I go and talk to the best people. I find out what their pillars are. And then I'm able to take other experiences from other industries that are doing things well. Not all industries do everything alike at the level that other industries do it. Some industries are much better at things like, say, marketing than other industries. Take, for example, in the auto finance space, which I've financed, hundreds of thousands of cars. So, like literally in that realm, that the tech in auto finance is horrible, horrible. Now, the tech in marketing is incredible. The tech in real estate is incredible. The hard money lending right now, our tech that we have at Capital Velocity is like unbelievable. So I think Jack was good, was happy with getting by. I've never been happy with getting by. And honestly, usually when I'm successful in an industry, I get bored because it becomes repetitive. Like once you've like really got something and it works and you're doing it, it becomes mundane. And some people are happy like just continuing to do mundane. And for me, I'm like, okay, what could I learn? What's interesting and different? What could I do? Where's the opportunity? That's why I wrote, the origin of opportunity, because it really has always the end of the book is really about getting to that space to really be anything, do anything, and become anyone that's necessary to be whatever you want to be. So yeah.
It's a powerful message. Andrew, we all love to make money, which some make more than others. But how much emphasis in your career, in your life, do you make on making money equating to success? Or is it success because of the journey? At the end of the day, making money is great, but does that define you?
No, in fact, I've never focused on making money. It's the lowest level of, I think, humanity focusing on making money.
Mm.
What I'm really interested in is creating value, to find a space to where I can deliver either a product or a service that is broken or inefficient to people that want that product or service, at the easiest, most convenient, most pleasant way possible. And by doing that, if there's value there that's worth it in the marketplace, then what drops out of the bottom into the net profit is profit. It drops into the net. And sometimes some industries are so commoditized that they're just there's no value you're creating in the marketplace for typically for something. So for me, I've always been excited about the puzzle. What's the puzzle, and how can I fix that puzzle so that I can make a lot of things work? I love hiring people and training people. I've trained thousands of people. I love to see people upgrade their life. Like my assistant, she's a multimillionaire with 30 properties. She's rich. She has 5 kids, and yeah, I miss her because she was my assistant for 7 years. The problem is I taught her everything. And I do that with everybody that I work with. I teach them everything I know. I'm like a fire hose of knowledge. I spill it like crazy.
Isn't it amazing? Some of the greatest employees you have, Andrew, seem to also teach you something.
Oh, all the time. That's the mistake most people make. I don't know it all. In fact, I like to figure out what people know that I don't know, because everybody's an expert at something. At something. And if I can find out what they're an expert at, and usually it's what they obsess on. It's usually not even something they think is a skill that they've built over time that they take for granted. I see it a lot in music too. People that are really good at music and kind of take for granted that they're that good. You know,
Mm.
I love finding people and figuring out what it is that's interesting and different about them. I'm like amazed by. I don't think there's been an employee I haven't been amazed by, um, in just really getting to know them. I think everybody has a story, everybody has unique experiences, and everybody's got that special gift that they have, um, that I hope they give to the world. A lot of people are not giving their best part to the world. They're getting by, and that kind of sucks. You
Yeah,
know,
when I'm at
you know.
it's funny, I'm at an award ceremony for a race, 70.3 Ironman. And I always come to it kind of at the end. And Dave, who's on the other line from BCC, will attest to this. I'd always say, you know what, if we could take this room right here and have everybody have the same attitude throughout the world, it'd be nothing but love and no war, and everybody would be successful. Of what just is in that room of those finishers that went through that journey. That just, I truly believe that, and I'm sure you do too. Andrew, you wrote a very powerful book. I was reading it, The Origin of Opportunity, with a message at first. When I read it, I had to read it a few times, of unleashing the power of nothing. Explain that to us. I know it would take a while, but try. The power of nothing. What is that all about?
Most of the time, people start out their journey with a picture of how life's supposed to be, right? It's like, I'll give you an example. This was what I told my wife when I was writing the book. I said, honey, she goes, what are you writing? You got 26 years of research. You're like putting your heart and soul into this. She goes, it's like this. One of the things is, when you fall in love with somebody, anything's possible.
Mm.
Anything. They got a drug problem. That's fine. We'll work through that. They got a drinking. We'll work through that. They don't have a job. We'll work through that. And then over time, a concept of the idea of how people are supposed to be show up. And instead of being in the experience of love, we're in this idea of what it's supposed to look like. And then all of a sudden, when the person you love, like, doesn't match up, doesn't do what's part of your concept of love, you actually physically pull back. And I told her, I said, in with coming from the space of nothing, I'm looking for new and different ways to love you every day, finding new things to get excited about in a new day. And I'm telling you, ever since then, I experience love for her every single day, because I look for new and different ways to experience her, to experience the moment. When she stumbles, I think it's cute. When she messes up on a word or something like that, it's like, or, a Freudian slip. I'm like, all these things give me an opportunity to experience that sense of love in each moment. And that's the idea, even with business, is coming from that state of nothingness to unleash what's possible. There's more nothingness in the world than there is something. And if you're able to tap into the power of nothing and unleash that, where what is and what isn't is, it's just so powerful.
And
Everyone thinks
that's
that
y-
some kind of message or script doesn't work all the time. Unless you're operating from day one within a new space, from an emptiness, from a blank, from like, can you fill a full glass? Like if I have a full glass of water, if this cup was completely full, I'd have to empty it before I could fill it again. So it's part of that space of being open to being able to receive information in new ways, to receive ideas, thoughts. And that's what's made me so powerful. Like not brilliance, not degrees, but just coming into the space with the idea that I don't know what I don't know. And I'm okay with that. I'm comfortable here. And that's a space most people can't be comfortable in, is being in a space of I don't know, like an Ironman. I don't know if I can finish. I don't know. I don't know. Am I gonna get a flat tire? Am I like what's and it but you pull through and it turns out amazing.
the don't know part reminds me of a Socrates saying, "All I know is I know nothing," and one of the brightest minds ever. It's got to be. I just want to stick on the nothing for a little while because the thing with foundation and how we were born, how we were bred, what we learned when we were in school, what our parents taught us, we get to college, you're pounded with information and it sets a foundation for us. It's almost like you're saying that foundation is incorrect or maybe don't depend on it. Because one part of your book you mentioned about you become the living dead when you rely on your past concepts. But it's hard to push that stuff out, isn't it?
Oh, especially if you even worse for people who've had big wins in their life,
Mm.
because they rely on this idea of who they are rather than inventing who they are in the moment that makes sense. I would say like to the degree that you identify with something is to the degree it owns you and you don't own it. I have a name, Andrew Cartwright, but I'm not attached to it. It doesn't own me. It doesn't define me. It doesn't say anything about who I am. It is like a pebble of sand on the beach of me, of who I am. I'm like finding out new stuff about me every single day, like constantly. I find new realizations, all kinds of stuff. So my name doesn't define me. I might look like a white male with long hair. That doesn't own me either. I don't identify with, my age. I don't identify with my hair. It's just I do, obviously I do my hair for the person I love because she digs it, I but I don't do it for my own identity. I could shave bald tomorrow, and it wouldn't change anything about me. I could have a different name and it wouldn't change what I do. And I can do any job and jobs don't own me any either. Most people are completely owned by what they do. And if that's the truth, how are they going to switch to do something else? Especially you're going to have to retool in this new economy to do maybe 5 different jobs.
Mm.
If you can't leave the attachment to who you think you are in the job market for something new, you may find yourself irrelevant. I think of Purdy when I think of Mr. Irrelevant. Like
Yeah.
the Super Bowl just
You being a Northern California guy from me,
yeah,
I know.
yeah. That was a painful game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for me too. I wanted to California. I know.
it was
Even
painful.
though sometimes people, well, they judge us and we judge ourselves on finished results because that's, oh my gosh, there's the medal hanging on the wall, there's the degree, there's the business I started and doing very well. But you must really, I'm sensing so much, Andrew, you relish the journey much more than the results. Why is that?
The juice is in the journey. You know, the medal's on the wall, but the juice was the experience. I like one of the Ironmans. I ripped open my left testicle at 3 miles to the finish line.
What?
Yes, my left.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I've done 3 years of podcast. That's the first time left testicle has ever come into any of my podcasts.
So you mean the right testicle has been there, but never the left?
Yeah, not even the right. Okay, let's talk
Oh my
about the
God,
left.
I was bleeding all down. It was like bad, and thank God I had black and red shorts on,
Oh,
and 3 miles left to go. I bought shorts that were too big, and they chafed till it ripped open, and I grabbed like ice
yeah,
because
I'll bet.
every mile they have ice, right? So I walk up, these poor volunteers. They looked at me. They're like, they didn't know what to do for me. Call a medic. What do we do? So I grabbed ice and I just put ice and it froze. And every mile, the last 3 miles, I filled it with ice. I wouldn't trade that experience at all. It was one of the most painful experiences that I've ever experienced in my life, and I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade the commitment to get through it and to get to the finish line and like literally like you're not going to stop me and not even this. And
Yeah.
it was oh my God, it's so painful. But
Those Andrew, those volunteers are having volunteer parties, and you're the first person to, hey, we had this dude come into the station. Oh my goodness.
They didn't know what to say. They just looked at me. I'm like bleeding, and it's just like what the. And then the ice. I'm like, I got in a car wreck in California, got T-boned, and I put ice on my knee, and it numbed my knee. And when I got to the
Yeah,
hospital, they said if you didn't put ice on it, it would have ripped up all the insides of your knee. And I threw ice on it right away, and I realized the power of ice. Ice is amazing.
ice
Now we
baths.
talk about
Yeah.
ice baths all the time,
Hmm.
but I was thinking about it, 20 years ago or 15 years ago. Um,
It's
so
crazy. It's crazy. I
ice
know.
is powerful. Ice is real powerful.
Andrew, you have mentored. We're talking to Andrew Cartwright, business leader, and we'll talk about the acting in a second. But you've mentored so many and given so much advice on the business side and life advice to people. But what is usually maybe your first thing or first lesson you you tell someone when you meet them for the first time or you come into business with them? What's that number one lesson you start off with?
You know what's interesting? Every single person is different. Usually, I look at what roadblocks they have that could be a breakthrough that would make an impact, whatever that is. And usually it's whatever their language is when they start to make an excuse, a
Mhm.
justification, a reason, give me a story for where they're not where they want to be. If they're comparing themselves to me, which is really dumb. Comparison is
Evil.
kills joy.
Hmm.
It's horrible. Don't compare. I mean, comparison is horrible. You want to feel like a loser, just start comparing yourself, because there's always somebody better, bigger, faster, sexier, whatever. There's always someone better. So the only race you're in is with yourself. That's the biggest race you got to win is yourself. So I usually look for like how I can just penetrate that reason that they have for why they're not getting what they want and be able to break through it. And then I'll give a story. Typically, over the 40 years, I got a story that probably they can relate to. And I've been where they are, and I'm not better, but there is a way up and out. So usually, that's if I'm mentoring or helping somebody, it's super dynamic because I don't think there's a one fit all um,
Hmm.
for that. We're all distinctly different, and we're all screwed up. Every one of us is screwed up in some way. That it's just we all are getting through this human experience. You know, um, so everyone's got a different. I wish I could tell you that it's the same. It's not. It's very.
Well, good,
It's always
good.
dynamic. Yeah.
Andrew, what was the business, first business or business deal you did that you recall, and how old were you? What when you realize, oh, I can do this deal? I'm thinking when you're like 9 years old in school selling something to your classmates, but
Pretty
I
close.
don't know what
Pretty
it is.
close. Pretty
What was
close.
it?
I don't know if you're a psychic, Mike, too, but pretty close. I My dad cut me off financially at 12 years old. And I
What?
remember I came home and he grabbed me by the arm, pulled me up with one arm. I was a little kid and scrawny, skinny, and he took me to my room, sat me down, and gave me like a yelling lecture. He was Greek and he had a real tough voice, and my dad was a contractor, so from 5 years old I
Mm,
was on construction sites, and my mom was a jeweler, so they're both. I grew up in an entrepreneurial family, like that's how we lived, understanding cash flow and balance sheets and income statements. I probably was maybe 5 or 6 years old learning about income statements and balance sheets and expenses. And,
mm,
it was like that's how we talked about how we lived, what we ate, when we bought a new car, when we didn't, was all based on this stuff. So from a young age. And then at 12, my dad cut me off financially. And I remember that was the first time I thought some really dark thoughts for a 12-year-old. It was bad because I felt like I was just everything was ripped out from under me. When I got over that I said, what could I do? There was no employment that I could do at 12 years old. So I thought of what I went to school and I saw that everybody that I grew up in a very ethnic, diverse community. It was 6% white. And I remember looking, people had these big gold chains and silver chains and big Mercedes signs and all that stuff. And I thought, that is what people want. That's like the most desirable thing at school. And the people that I was seeing every day wanted like these Mercedes signs, these big rope chains, and all that kind of stuff. So I got a resale permit, and I had my mom take me to the jewelry center in San Francisco. And I went and took photocopies of all those um, different chains, and I came back with pricing. The pricing was one fourth the price of a store, and I was still doubling my money for real stuff.
so wait, you were
And
selling it? You were selling it on campus to the other kids?
yes, I was. I was. So I was doing that. I was also working in the cafeteria. I worked for food. So I'd get to school at 5 o'clock in the morning. I served all the teachers and then served at the snack bar, all the kids. And then I would, at lunchtime, I would basically, sell food. And then if there was a pretty girl that I would get a phone number, I'd talk to her about if I could give the phone number to a guy, and I would sell her phone number to the guy that she really wanted to have the number anyway. So, it wasn't like I was like selling her number and she didn't know about it.
Yeah,
But,
okay. I was gonna
you know,
say, I'm glad she knew about it.
yeah, no, full disclosure, she knew. And then she also knew, who was interested in her.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, it was, could make an extra selling jewelry, doing, I did everything I could. I started a pool cleaning business as soon as I got my driver's license permit at 15, 16 years old. I started cleaning pools. Then I got a mentor that changed my life, Joe Esif Kosman. He taught me how to patent. I had my first patent in to the Patent and Trademark Office at 16 years old. I got exclusive rights to a couple of products. And by 17, I had three companies and 200 employees and was a multimillionaire by 17. Mike Cameron.
absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. You know, the pool cleaning story. I don't know if you know Joe DeSena from the Spartan races. He started all the Spartan races. That's what he did after to build his wealth and build his business foundation. Something about cleaning pools, but
Mm.
that's an incredible story, Andrew. Uh, what I find interesting about it all is I saw something on one of the morning shows today about at 18 years old. Remember the old adage, people would leave the house at 18, you'd be on your own at 18. And now it's gone to like 28 or 30 or 32 years old before they let go of their cushion. I do you think that is the opposite way of how we should be heading?
Yeah, I guess it depends what the plan is. Uh, I think I was 16 or 17 when I
Mhm,
left, and got my own place and the whole bit. But I wanted my independence and freedom to think. I didn't want the opinions and influence of my parents to dictate what I was doing, because I felt a certain amount of limitation from the conversations that were coming from them. So I wanted my own sense of independence, my own place, all that stuff, my own car. And by then I could afford it at 17. I was a multimillionaire. But I would say, like, if you're staying with your parents till 28 and you're saving your money and you're working hard, and you have a plan, a strategy. I'm all about strategy. If you have a plan and you're going to save $2,000 a month by living with your parents, take that 2,000, write a check to yourself at 18. Believe it or not, if you write a check to yourself for I think $300 for 8 years from 18 to 26, when you retire, you'll have 1.5 million. I think is the number.
mhm.
That's what that comes to my mind. But that's only $300 a month for 8 years. So if you're gonna I mean, if I was a parent and my kid was living with me to that degree, I would say, listen, if you're going to live here, you better have a plan of if you're saving this money. I don't mind that you're saving the money, but what are you doing for your future as a result of the savings you're getting by not having to pay? Like, put that money away, invest it, buy a business, pay down your credit. But when I see kids at home with a Lamborghini, and they're
Mm.
living with their parents, that to me is, I would say, like, I have a blueprint that will always make me a multimillionaire no matter where I land in the world or what I'm doing. I will always rise to becoming a millionaire again because I've done it 4 times. I know how to do it. My blueprint just does that. But if you have I can tell if somebody has a blueprint for failure. And since I've underwritten a good 77,000 regular loans on real estate and
Mhm.
businesses, because I'm a business underwriter for the SBA as well, 7A. I've
Mm.
done a good 33,000 over there. Um, I can tell you if you're going to be broke just by looking at the last 2 years, whether you have a looking good going nowhere, um, or if you're somebody who's on a path to success. It is not a mystery. There is a science to achievement, maybe an art to fulfillment, but there's definitely a science to achievement for sure, and
I
it's
believe that.
evident in your habits with money. So
Great advice. Great
yeah.
advice. So tell us, I look at the book and I see Andrew Cartwright with all these good looking stars, the Will Smiths of the world and Robin Williams and everybody. So how'd you get into some of the acting gigs? Why'd you want to go down that path?
So I had retired at 26 after the first time, and it was a pretty dumb, short-lived retirement over the course of 5 years, because I didn't invest any of the money; it was all cash,
Mm,
and I didn't have credit or real estate. I just had like I had I came up from being a kid, so I never used leverage. My first time becoming a multimillionaire, I used intellectual leverage with exclusive rights to products that I learned from my mentor, E. Joseph Gossman, how to lock up rights. And that's how at 17, I was able to have 200 employees because no one could go around me. They had to buy through me. All of like California had to buy a chocolate line of 13 different products through me No matter what they did to try and get a hold of the manufacturer, they had to buy it through me. I had exclusive rights. So it was definitely, a, they had to do that.
A
Well,
good deal.
being retired at 26, I thought, okay, what's my dream thing? Well, I love movies. I watch movies with my dad all the time. And I walked on the set of What Dreams May Come. Just walked on the set like I was supposed to be there.
You
And
you mean you weren't invited? You just walked on.
I just walked on. I just walked straight in, walked through the gate, said hello and smiled and like at the not fist bumped at the time. We weren't fist bumping, but all acknowledged the security guard and they're like nodded me on and I just walked in like I was supposed to be there. And it's it was just crazy. And I walked straight up to a guy he was pretty short and he had a black leather coat on and boots. And he I said, where's the director? I'd love to be on this movie. And he looked at me and he goes, I am the director. His name is Vince Ward. And Vince Ward said, I'm going to give you a spot. And so for 3 days in hell, my what he had me doing as a little bit part was to try and kill Robin Williams. That was it. That was his thing. Was every it was crazy. They gave me a sword, then they gave me a mallet. We spent 3 days doing this scene. I was wearing a cape and like a G string covered in mud, and still recognizable, but definitely cold in
Mhm.
September next to the water in Mare Island in Vallejo, California. But I got paid so much money for that part. I got water pay, I got wardrobe pay, I got like mud pay for them covering me in mud. I got paid for water, I got paid for fire because they had fire techno stuff. That check was so huge. I was like blown away. And then I got in the Screen Actors Guild. I had met John Travolta and I talked to John about becoming financial core and joined the financial core so I could do both union and non-union films, which I'm in the middle of. We're in production of pre-production of a movie we're doing on racing about the track the $130 million track I was buying in Tooele, Utah. So we're in
Mm.
pre-development for that, hoping to start shooting at the end of the year. The director is like got 6.5 billion dollars worth of revenue on a five film franchise. So we're excited about that.
Good luck
So
with that.
yeah, but
So
yeah,
you
I was on what dreams may come bicentennial man. I spent 3 years on Nash Bridges. I played Officer Grant, so I had like a couple words that I would say. I was a uniform cop in the SIU, and I had a 3-day contract. So I would say, sign this, come over here. I arrested people. I had chase scenes with Don Johnson, and yeah, all kinds of stuff. So
very
yeah.
cool. Very cool. So what success, you've had in business, has it taught you anything about your personal relationships, Andrew, or vice versa?
Yeah, I think the biggest experiment in business is about yourself. Your business is really a reflection of you in every sense of the word. If your business is disorganized, you're disorganized.
Mm.
If you're having upsets with customers, then I mean it's you. If 5 people have a problem with you, it's probably you, right? It's something. So to me, it's a constant evolution to grow as a human being. The only thing I think has you grow more as a human being other than business is acting, because then you really sort of try and understand like the human condition and the layers of a character and how it plays in a scene and how those relationships are to other characters. That is just amazing. But short of that, I think the other experience of personal growth happens a lot in business when you're, persuasion and being able to persuade somebody to see your way of thinking or to understand what you're doing. And your communication skills get better and better. Um, I've taught thousands of salespeople, and usually a salesperson will be um, like not have a girlfriend or a boyfriend. And by the time I'm done with the sales training, they have too many. They have no problem asking for what they want. They learn how to overcome objections. They learn how to give reasons why they might want to do something. So the basic skills of sales, that a good intro, a good story, overcoming objections, being able to explain the merchandise, product, or service that you're doing, and then being able to rehash after they've purchased and maybe given them an option to upgrade or do some other type of thing. Once you've trained a salesperson to do that, it's so universal. Sales is a lot like dating. It's I think it makes you able to really connect and to be with people in a very intimate way. Because what's more intimate than your wallet?
Yeah, the sales career I've had, everything from athletic shoes to, we're sitting down with a buyer once having dinner, and I was there with Nike,
Oh
and I
wow.
was so proud of myself because I had made a big sale that day, and the account said, "Well, how much did you sell?" And it was the first time I'd sold over a million dollars on one sale, which was fantastic. I was in heaven. Oh my gosh, I did it! I hit that seven figure mark. So he says, looks at the Nike guy and he said, "So how'd you do here?" So I did pretty good. I did a million too. And right away I'm thinking, "Oh my gosh, I've sold the same as Nike." And then he goes, "A million pair." I go, "Oh, jeez. Oh, you talk about being put in your place." I couldn't even comprehend that. But that's what sales does. You got those highs and you got the lows right
Oh yeah.
away. But it's like life. It masks life. I have
I,
a go ahead.
no, it's the same thing with the Ironman. You get your medal, you take your picture, and then you get back to the house, and just you still have lactic acid in your system.
Yeah.
You're still sore, and the question is, okay, now what? And then you find yourself in front of a computer with your credit card out, and you find yourself signing up for another race. After you're going, I'm not going to do one for a little while. I'm going to take a break. And it's always the same for a decade now. It's pull out the
Yeah.
credit card
What's
and
next?
do
I
another race.
know they got you. So I've got one of my last questions on find your finish line, Andrew. It's called tri-table racing. It comes out of the Baja 1000. I have friends that race the Baja down here, and
Wow.
I've raced it, and quite a few of my friends have won it. And they sit around afterwards, and they call it table racing, where they sit around the table and they reminisce about the event and all that. I call this tri-table racing. I know you already reminisced with us about the left nut, so don't go there. So reminisce with us, tri-table race with us about anything that comes to your mind during your racing career.
Um, in Oceanside, California, picked up the
Yeah.
phone because I was in the middle of a real estate deal, a $10 million deal that I didn't want to go sideways, got disqualified for picking up the phone. But that wasn't it. I was in Oceanside. I also was speeding. I was speeding
Oh,
down a
down
hill
the
that
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I wasn't supposed to go that fast, and I was only doing like 1 mile or 2 mile over, so I thought, "Must be fine. The cops let you go 10 miles over without writing you a ticket. How bad could it be?" And then, what was the other thing? So I got to the finish line. There was like 2 things I was disqualified for, and it was like, "Oh, man." They still gave me a medal, but, I got disqualified on the thing.
Right.
Uh, the flat I got a flat tire one time, couldn't get it fixed fast enough, and the truck was coming, and I was watching the truck as it came because that was the like you're out, buddy, time.
Yeah.
This is my second flat. So the truck was creeping up, and I was like, "Oh no!" I'm like, "No," because it was on it was a bike. It was two flat tires. It was in Nevada, and we had the hills, like the worst. Nevada's Ironman was like the worst because the hills. And the guy came up and he grabbed my timing chip, and I was like, oh. And I thought to myself, if I could have just ran from him, you
Yeah.
know, and not let. I mean, I was like, I let him take my timing chip. I should have just I should have just ran, you know. And so because I didn't have much further to go to get to the run. I remember the first Ironman I did. I signed up for the Vineman, and it
Yeah.
was three weeks before the race. And Dick Norquist, who's
Mm.
done 30
Yeah.
Ironman championships in Hawaii, he's my mentor. He's 60. I think he's 67
Really?
or
He's your
no.
mentor? I go way back with Dick here in San Diego, Rancho Santa Fe. Wow.
Oh, Dick loves you. Dick absolutely, yeah, he thinks the world of you. He's got rooms and rooms and rooms full of Ironman medals. I
Yeah, he
mean,
does.
he tortures me. He tortures me. I like he still beats me on the bike. At like, and he's what 76 or something
Yeah.
like that. I tell him, I said, Dick, you have more experience. Of course you're going to be faster than me on a bike, and he gets all frustrated. He hates when I say that because he wants to torture me when it comes to that. Swimming, I've got disqualified once in the swim. The swim was the tough one. I got cramps that were really bad. But I still finished. I've never not finished. I've like always like I'm just gonna finish no matter what, even if that happens. What other? And then of course I'm talking about. You think about all the stuff that like
It can
literally
happen. Yeah.
yeah. But I mean Sacramento with the cow manure flipping up in the air and the 10-mile-an-hour winds, and the running through the park where all the lights they didn't have them working, so it was dark, and 6 inches of water, and pushing through that to get the medal. And I shaved off an hour and 30 minutes of my time from the year before, to do that. And then this year, I'm going to shave another hour and 30 minutes. You heard it here first from
Mhm.
my current time. So, I like, yeah,
I may have to get up there and watch you just to
I,
I'll go around the course and torment you. I'll be watching my watch, you know. You
you
told me an hour 30, get your butt moving. I get
oh man, I would love that. I love I love the challenge. I'm
Yeah, and the
so happy.
camaraderie. Yeah, the camaraderie is good too. It's a family.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
how
it's
can people find you, Andrew? They want to talk to you, they want to get advice, and how do they do that?
just type in, not trying to brag, just type in Google Andrew Cartwright, and I'm typically usually the first two pages. You can find me on Instagram, Andrew X Cartwright. You can find me on YouTube, Andrew Cartwright, and on Twitter, I'm Cartwright 007.
Yeah, I saw that. Why was that? What was that signification?
I,
Just
I
the James Bond thing?
yeah, I thought it was kind of cool. You know,
Okay, that's cool.
I thought it was cool. Plus, I have a lot of sevens. I was born
Okay.
7 pounds, 7 ounces, 1147, 927, 70. Like, there's so many
Uh,
sevens in my birth.
in your life. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Andrew, this has been a thrill for me because your knowledge of both business and life is something I think our listeners are going to love to listen to. So thank you very much for sharing. Thank you for your time, especially your time. Dude, I just can't imagine how busy you are. I know the good ones, we get up early, we go to bed late, we just get it done. But to take an hour out of your day for me, I appreciate that.
No, I appreciate you. I wish I was the one asking the questions, because I just from what I've heard about your life, is just absolutely amazing too.
Well,
So
thank you. Maybe one day we'll do that. Sometimes
I
I
would
love it when I'm on. I don't have to prepare. I just sit there and talk. So you know.
I would love to have you on my channel and on my podcast. I would love more people to know who you are and what you do. I've been a big admirer of yours for a decade. You're in my ear in almost every one of my training. because I watch those Ironman videos, and I hope Ironman will make a bunch more, because I literally run on the treadmill to those videos, and sometimes I'm emotional at 10
Hmm.
miles and all that kind of stuff. Those videos of people doing Ironmans that are as committed as I am, and then hearing your voice has been something for a decade that has moved me to go the extra mile. So
Well,
at
thank you,
home
Andrew.
by myself, by myself.
Thank
So
you very
thank you.
much. You,
Thank you, Mike
you,
Riley. I appreciate you.
you're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Everybody, thank you again for listening in to another edition of Find Your Finish Line. You pick us up on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or go to my website, mikeriley.net, and check it out there. Remember, every day you're the cause of your own experience. Keep those experiences positive, and you will always find your finish line. Aloha, everyone.
Aloha.